So we do the clap. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Hunters Hub. This is your host Fortuan, joined by co-host Pan. How you doing tonight?
I am doing fantastic.
Awesome. That's glad to hear. And our new co-host SashaQ. I'm going to go with that because that's what I've seen so far. So, is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's perfect. Or I guess, I don't know, I used to go by Q, but then QAnon kind of ruined that for me. So I guess Sasha for now.
Who's QAnon? I don't actually know.
Let's table that. Let's table that. I don't want to ruin my intro with this discussion.
You sweet summer child!
Oh, yes, I missed such a perfect opportunity to say that.
Okay.
Oh, Fortuan!
So we will talk about that later. I've heard the name. I have no idea their significance. All right, so SashaQ has nothing to do with what we were just talking about. Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to join you guys.
So we have a big introduction episode tonight for you. We gave you a list of basically all of our top whatever games and series that you were willing to, and it's up to you on which ones you want to talk about. Obviously, you said that you're not much of a Nintendo person, so Wii U is going to be out. Even Nintendo people put the Wii U out sometimes, so
that was the point of that episode.
Yes, it was. It was let me sell you a Wii U.
Well, maybe I should listen to it, and maybe your gifts of persuasion will work on.
Given our talk where we talked about how you, the whole Zelda thing, it may not work.
Okay, then you know what? I'm glad I skipped it. Saved myself some heartache. But yeah, I have quite a list here. I'm going to be totally honest up front. Cut me off when we get talking about some of the RPGs because I could just go.
Yeah, you and Pan are going to be quite in line on those ones. I don't think we've done a JRPG episode yet, have we? I think we need to do one eventually. Although all the ones I'm going to be talking about, I've talked about in other fashions, I suppose. Because, I don't know. I'm not a huge Final Fantasy fan. So,
I'm also not super big on JRPGs, but I have spent, so much of my 20s playing Western RPGs.
Yeah. Well, we talked a lot about Elder Scrolls. Was it last week? Yeah. Yeah, the open world stuff. Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked about how I sunk basically 2 years of my life into it.
Yeah. So, I guess just let us know which category you want to talk about, and we'll talk about them.
Well, I think we should maybe start with Western RPGs, and we can kind of marry it with apocalyptic games because there's some overlap.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think I should probably start with Fallout New Vegas is maybe like my favorite game of all time if it's having like a duke 'em out with Morrowind in my head all the time, but New Vegas is definitely my favorite game. I've spent way too much time there.
I am actually going to check to see if I own Fallout New Vegas because I know I went back and bought a lot of the Fallouts. No, I went back and got Fallout 1 and 2. I did not get New Vegas.
There's kind of like a renaissance of the Fallout series when Fallout 3 comes out. So if you've played 1 and 2, you know the lore, you kind of know the theme and what the game's all about. The post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland, but it's totally different once you hit 3.
And 3 was the first one I played. We talked a little bit about that, how VATS ruined me.
Yeah, that's why I say you got to go New Vegas. New Vegas has insight, so you don't really have to play with VATS.
I will look it up because if it's on GOG, I am good to go.
I feel like it is on GOG, which every time a game I love shows up on GOG, I start to feel very.
So Fortuan avoids buying things on Steam as much as possible.
Yeah, it still happens, but yeah, I still try to avoid doing it because I don't really like their DRM practices. You don't own the game; you have a license. It really doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have a small GOG library, but I shamefully have pretty large Steam library. But I'm on a no buy with Steam. Can't buy any more until it's pulling around.
Okay, I may have found a game I'm going to be trying regardless, and it's
I'm a shameless shill who just
Fallout.
funnels money to Gabe.
I don't think Gabe's the problem. I think his stockholders are the problem. Possibly. Who knows? Maybe he is still the problem. All right. Cool. Oh my gosh, so many. There's a Fallout Tactics. I'd never saw this before. And when I typed in Fallout, there was Fallout Tactics, and I'm looking at it. It is there.
While he shops, tell us more about your experiences with Fallout New Vegas.
Yes.
Oh man. Okay, where should I start? I mean, like honestly, my favorite thing to do in Fallout games is to try to play as myself and be very realistic about how I'm a very weak, fragile little flower physically, and that if I was in the wasteland, I would have to talk my way out of some of this.
Have you watched Dr. Stone?
I have not.
Oh Lord, that's the other thing I need to get going on sometime tonight, Fortuan, but I'll let her continue.
Okay. So I usually play with like very low, like under 5 strength and under 5 endurance, and then if it naturally increases because of some kind of in-game bonus, then it's, because you're surviving in the wasteland. It's on brand. But otherwise, I usually try to go with high intel, maybe some sneaking around and try to manipulate my way through everything and steal everything I can find. Kind of feel like if I'm helping everybody and putting myself on the line, that they should give me all of their possessions.
That's a fair trade without them knowing, right?
Yeah, so there's a karma system in the game, and it depends on which game you're playing. If you're playing 3 or New Vegas, how important the karma system is. But your karma goes up when you do nice stuff for people, and it goes down when you take their shit. So I pretty much end up with neutral karma by the end of the game, no matter how good I am, because I love to hoard.
Your philosophy there is kind of the same thing that I felt sneaking around Morrowind, stealing the pants literally off of the guards in Vivek. Because if I recall correctly, those guards are part of House Indoril, and they're the only members of House Indoril. And you are the reincarnation of Indoril Nererevar. They worship you. Their stuff rightfully belongs to you.
So I also play Morrowind just like that. I take whatever I want, and then there gets to be a point where you're strong enough to take the temple guards, and I deliberately take something cheap so they'll attack you, and then kill them, take their helmets and their boots, which sell perfectly for 5,000 gold to the creeper in the manor, and then you start rolling in the dough, start training in the skills you suck at, and the game becomes easy.
So
and of course you bunny hop everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. Which was something we used to joke about all the time in real life. We would be like, oh, those stairs are prime jumping stairs in Morrowind. You make your acrobat skill go up.
I played an Argonian pure thief. I never talked to anyone. I never did anything. I just stole. That was me in Morrowind.
The first time I played, I didn't quite grasp the severity of severing the thread of the prophecy. So I played the Snord, and I just killed everybody and took everything and got very overpowered, and then realized that I couldn't just roll right up in there and fight this guy hand to hand and win. So I restarted, and I played as a boss because I was catching diseases, and I wanted that natural immunity. And I actually beat the game as a boss. Probably the game I'm proudest of beating because the Ashlanders are so frustrating. Oh my god.
This is much further than I ever got in Morrowind.
Okay, imagine Amish caveman dark elves who are waiting for the return of their Christ.
I'm just imagining like the full beard, and they have clubs and no shirts, and they're just dark elves, just like the full Amish beard.
Basically, you have the equivalent of that in Elder Scrolls. They're wearing like dirty, worthless clothes, and they have almost nothing that's worth stealing, which I guess is good because they get mad over everything. And you have to do a bunch of endless fetch quests for them and religious stuff.
Yeah, you have to go to them and prove that you're the Neray Ravine, and they are really, really, really fussy about it.
Yes,
this sounds not fun.
It isn't. It's the worst part of the game. It really is. I was at this point where I'm like, am I going to beat this game? There's
no quest arrow. There's no quest arrow. It's just like you got to go 30 paces south by southeast past the third gray rock on your left. And then when you stub your toe on the tipped over tree, turn east, due east, and you'll see it. You'll see it on the horizon.
Oh boy. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. The only one I ever beat was Skyrim. And I did that in the most unsophisticated way. Full plate, two-hander axe orc that would also steal and then do stealth. I had full stealth with full plate, and I had that one where you had like no penalty on heavy armor for stealth. So I would sneak attack people with a great axe. And then when the fight would break out, I'd just Fus Roda everybody and just like kill them while they were on the ground. Just like I was like hiding until I was found out, and then I went full aggression up in their face. It was fun. Except for the Spriggans. The Spriggans, oh my gosh. They're mean.
Oh, see, Skyrim and Oblivion I played as a Breton. Because you get that natural magic resistance, and you definitely, I think, need it in Skyrim.
Yeah, there's a lot of I mean, the Spriggans would have been easier for sure. Even the dragons, right? Even the dragons do some magic.
I've gotten to a point in Skyrim where I think my character's somewhere in maybe the 60s, and with the resistances and quest rewards you get, and then I took the cycle lore, so you get physical resistance and magic resistance. I'm playing on the hardest difficulty and standing in front of dragons, just taking like fire and no health damage whatsoever. It just gets very easy at a certain point.
Mm-hmm. It does, yeah. That's the only one I've beaten, so I don't. And I barely got out of the tutorial on out of the sewers on Oblivion, and then Morrowind I got a lot further, but like I never did any quest stuff. I just got killed by those weird bug things we talked about last week. I can't remember what they are, but I like to call them horse bugs because they were like a bug as big as a horse. They were huge, and they would kill me.
I think I red ringed an Xbox 360 just playing Oblivion.
Wow. That is an accomplishment.
Yeah, that was what I bought a 360 for, was because I had played so much Morrowind, and then I was ready for the next gen version of it, and I couldn't afford a gaming console that was going to play something like that at the time. So I played so much Oblivion that I started hoarding the gems because I wanted to create a room like Scrooge McDuck, like dive into the room with all the coins, but I just wanted it to be all of my gems that I had stolen or found, which was also a Skyrim dream.
Mine was Dragon Bones. I had a room of Dragon Bones. My wife in the game did not appreciate that, apparently. She actually had a line of dialogue. Could you clean this place up? And I was like, no. They're my Dragon Bones. Don't move them.
My Skyrim wife, Ayla the Huntress. And I got so pissed the day I was like, okay, so I married Ayla the Huntress, and I turned into a werewolf in front of her, and I thought she'd be cool with that, but no, she flipped out and started killing the vile beast.
Oh.
But she's a werewolf, isn't she?
10-year-old spoilers. Ayla the Huntress is not only a werewolf, she's like ride or die Lord Hircine. She's like the one member of the werewolf cult that doesn't actually want to reverse their curse.
I married the sweet idiot brother, the twins in the Vilcus.
Vilcus and the other one. I married Vilcus. Yeah, Vilcus and Barcus. I married the cool one. Sometimes I go for Ayla, sometimes I go for the cool twin.
Well, I usually try to pick somebody who is a trainer in some way, because when they open up their shop, they'll have all of your gold that you spent training, and then I just sell them all my big loot and get all my gold back.
Okay.
So I've also married that creepy little alchemist who runs the shop in Windhelm, and I've also married he's the guy who run Riften, the blacksmith. He's a trainer.
Oh yeah, he's nice. He's a nice guy.
Yeah. He was very appreciative of the fire salts, and I thought this could be real.
The only person I married in Skyrim was the woman they sent to be your bodyguard in Whitehelm.
Lydia?
Yeah, that's the
Lydia.
Person I married.
Oh, Lydia joined the you make them all join. You can pick 3 of them, and they join and fight dragons for the rest.
The Blades.
The Blades. Yeah. I picked her for that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, obviously I didn't go much into the whole marrying people thing. I just picked the first. Like, oh, you can do this.
You pick the first person they chuck at you.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly true. Which was not true in Stardew. I vetted out a lot of people in Stardew, but I've talked to you about that one. That was I got crap from an ex of mine because I started dating Haley, and she was not like Haley at all.
I've never played Stardew, but I have played a similar game that it's called Gleaner Heights, and it's basically like Stardew. If Stardew and Twin Peaks had a baby, like weird, creepy stuff happens at night, but only if you keep your character up at night to wander around and look in your neighbor's windows.
Wow.
What was this game again?
It's called Gleaner Heights. You can play it on console or on PC.
Okay.
Cool, this sounds like my jam.
You've definitely intrigued Pan there.
No wonder I've never heard of it. It came out in February 2018.
So that was my one and only quarantine game that I had time to play, because I worked mostly through quarantine. But I played the shit out of Gleaner Heights.
Yeah, this game came out weeks after my son was born. That's why I didn't hear about it. Huh. Well then.
Have fun. All I can say is stay up at night. Keep your character sneaking around, looking around at people.
Oh yeah,
this is the good stuff.
This is straight up a Harvest Moon game.
Yes.
Cool. Well, alrighty then.
Okay, so I'm gonna
It's 50% off on Steam right now.
Oh, get it. You're gonna have so much fun.
It's $5.
It's not on GOG, so I'm not getting it.
I'm going to pull myself away from Elder Scrolls because this is not an Elder Scrolls podcast.
Yeah.
And so some other things that are near and dear to my heart. I do love BioWare RPGs. So I've also done like Major Time Sinks in Mass Effect and in Dragon Age, which I would say are probably also my dating sims, if you want to call them that. They're
Have you ever played OG KOTOR?
No, I haven't. I've tried, but I feel like because I'm so trained on the newer games that it was hard to try to go back and play.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had to like sit my husband down to get him through like the first hour or so of KOTOR, and then he took off with it. But yeah, it was rough for him going back too.
I feel like it's gonna be how it's like trying to play Mass Effect 1, which is such a broken game, but I love it so much that I pushed myself through it multiple times.
Mm. See, I have a friend who's a big Mass Effect fan, and he's always been like, "You got to play this. You got to play this." And I was like, "All right, I'll finally play it." And it came to the Wii U. I think it was Mass Effect 2. Maybe I played. Maybe I played it on PlayStation 3.
Man, Mass Effect 2 is so good, but if you're not already invested, it doesn't hit.
That was the problem, is I wasn't I did like a couple like storyline pick things. They gave you like a comic book thing to pick big plot points, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, so I'm kind of bored. And also, space has never been a genre that I like, a setting that I really enjoy all that well. So like, I was just like, oh boy, I'm a captain of a spaceship, I guess. Cool. And all the aliens are humanoid and can talk English, and this doesn't make sense to me. It's like Star Trek all over again, and I hate it. My dad's a big Trekkie.
I love Star Trek.
My dad's a big Trekkie.
I love it so much.
I have okay, I won't lie. I'll be entirely honest. Star Trek's a cool series. I have watched a lot of it, and a lot of all the series of Star Trek, but I have some major gripes. Largely, everything is in a humanoid shape, and it all speaks English.
And it's all very horny.
Yes.
No.
They are very
horny.
The
Darmoks do not speak English.
There was also the Tribbles. Okay, the Tribbles were not English speaking.
Well, what do you think they were doing though? They were very horny.
That's very true. Yeah. No, they were. They were.
The Temerians, not the Darmoks. The Temerians, they don't speak English.
Okay.
See, you say Temerian, and then my brain goes to The Witcher.
Damn it!
Because that is from The Witcher?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. So the Temerians are this race of aliens who it doesn't make sense. Don't try to think about it too hard. Their language is made up of metaphors. They can only speak in metaphors.
Oh yes, I remember this.
It's a pretty famous episode of Star Trek Next Generation.
Okay, if it's in Next Generation, I have specifically watched this because if it happened, like I've told you this, I've watched it on Netflix, all of the Next Generation purposely, and then I got halfway through the final season and I was like, "Fuck this, I'm out." I do not give a shit about Worf's kid for the 7th episode.
That little shit can go out an airlock. Apparently, he gets better in Deep Space Nine. I don't know. I should watch that show.
That's also been on my list.
Yeah, I have probably watched it. I have probably watched this episode with the Temerians, but I just don't remember it.
Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra.
Oh boy. That's a lot.
That doesn't ring a bell?
No.
Okay, don't worry about it then. We're moving on.
So, Mass Effect.
Okay. Mass Effect, yes. So, I don't know. I think that these are definitely my version of dating sims because that's been some of my driving force in replays, is just romancing other characters.
Mm-hmm.
But I love BioWare games because they're basically it's just the same thing but set in different times. So Dragon Age is basically the same as Mass Effect. You've got you can piss your squad mates off because of your personality type. So you've got to worry about who you have with you when you make certain choices in the game, both of the games. And I'm such a nerd about lore, so I love games that you just get really, really invested in world building and characters and their motivations and seeing characters go through like trilogies like Mass Effect. I was sobbing playing Mass Effect 3 because I'm so invested in the characters.
Mm-hmm. I bet. I mean, I unfortunately only ever really, as far as like the modern BioWare games, I loved their D&D stuff they did. Gosh, I can't. Neverwinter Nights was the big game that I got into that they did. But later on, the only one I got into was Dragon Age 2. And that was because it was so much easier to play on console, but everyone hated it for that reason. And
Oh,
I was like, hey, I can actually play this though. Like that's a little bit of an upside to me, but man, did I get tired of seeing the same cave 70 times and the same like dungeons like all these other times. And I was like, oh, this is it. This is all it is. But I did have a lot of fun. I did date the elf on that one. That was interesting.
Fenris.
Yeah.
Or the girl, Meryl, I think is her name.
Yeah, Meryl. That one was weird. And then the pirate girl got mad at me because we were dating first. So that was interesting. She was like, I thought we were a thing. And I was like, but elf.
Well, she gets mad at you anyway,
Yeah.
to be totally honest. I feel like I've played that game a few times through,
Mhm.
and I don't think I've ever ended the game with her not mad at me. But I think Dragon Age 2 is the weakest of the series,
That
but
seems to be the consensus.
I will still say though that I've played a tremendous amount of that game because I love Dragon Age and I love all the lore. I'm heavily invested in. I'm a mage sympathist. I know that the games are kind of old, but the newer game is coming out I think soon.
Yes.
So some people might be getting into the game now. So all I have to say is that Anders was right, and I'm not going to spoil anything else
Hmm.
for anyone else.
Yeah, I played a fighter. I was straight up warrior. I was just like, nope, I'm just gonna kill things with a sword.
I definitely play as a rogue. I play an archer because they're the weakest party members and they will die on the hardest difficulties immediately. So I play as the weakest party member so that I don't die. And then I have all
That's a
the
sound
warriors
strategy.
hack and slash. Yeah.
Yeah, that way your like idiot archers aren't like running into the fire.
Yeah, it's like they're designed to have dodge and smoke bombs and stealth, but they don't do any of it. Even when you set the game up, I go in, I do the auto tactics, but the game he just stands there, deer in the headlights. Great, cool. Thanks for the support, Varric.
He's no Legolas, that's for sure.
No, I am.
You are. That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Boy, Legolas is the most overpowered party member of all the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, which is basically how I've played all of the Dragon Age games, but I'm just a female version. So I guess Katniss?
Mm-hmm. Sure. I could see that.
Yeah.
Katniss was a very fine point archer.
Very overpowered, too.
She had plot armor.
Yes, she did.
That's Hunger Games jokes, Pan, if you didn't know. Okay.
Yeah.
I hate the Hunger Games so much. I do. Oh man. My biggest complaint, just a little bit of tangent of the first movie was always like they're like, oh no, at the end of the movie, this is a problem. We can't have people killing each other. I was like, no shit. You took a whole movie to build up to the problem. Like the classic movie thing is like, we have a problem. All right, we're going to solve it. Now like the classic arc and pits and falls of a movie, and the whole movie was just one ramp up to the problem, end movie, and I'm like, wow, that was dumb.
That's because they wanted that sweet, sweet Harry Potter movie franchise money.
Well, I mean, the
They
books,
got it.
there are 3 books.
Mhm.
And 4, I guess, if you count the prequel, but I'm a nerd, you guys. I've read all those books. That's just what it is. Say it shamelessly.
I was I was told, and this is funny. So my ex-wife, she was really into both the Twilight books and the Hunger Game books before they were movies. And she told me the whole plot of these things as she was reading them. And then we would watch the movie and I'd be like, wait a minute. I know what's happening here. Why do I know what's happening? Like, oh, she's like, I had told you this. Like, and I was like, yeah, but we were like, this is like 10 years ago you told me. How am I supposed to remember?
My sister, I think she was about 12 or 13 when the Twilight books got big.
Oh, no.
Like, before the movies exploded.
Mm-hmm.
But before the movies. Just when the books were just, like, the hottest teen fiction. And, you know a few things about my upbringing, 420. You see, my sister and I both really liked vampire fiction and stuff. So imagine her delight and surprise when there was basically Christian vampire romance fiction for teenage girls.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like the book was made for her.
Oh, I've told you, Pan, but Sasha, you may not know. I used to do movie reviews for one of my companies as like a side thing, and they actually gave me money and sent me to premieres of certain movies. So I got to see the second Twilight movie on premiere night. I guarantee you I was the only male in that whole audience.
Did you go by yourself?
I went with my wife at the time and her younger sister.
Well, I'm very glad that you weren't just like a man at the Twilight movie all by yourself.
I would have lost my mind. Because there's that point where, I can't remember his name, but the Native American werewolf guy, he takes off his shirt to help her when she crashes on a motorcycle, and the whole theater erupted in woo! And I was like, oh my gosh, why am I here? Oh boy, that was an experience.
I don't have any fun Twilight stories. I wasn't into that. I'm too old, but I was into teen vampire and horror movie books and stuff. L.J. Smith was more my game than Twilight. But I'm gonna end this tangent because I feel like the next tangent we're gonna get on is The Witcher. Because I think that I'd be really upset with myself if I didn't mention The Witcher. I put off playing The Witcher 3 for a really long time because I played a ton of The Witcher 2. So I knew when The Witcher 3 came out, I wanted to have at least 2 or 3 weeks to dedicate to that. But I was in grad school when it came out, so I didn't have time right away. So this was one that I ended up playing when I was on maternity leave, picking up, because I never slept anyway. A kid eating like every 2 to 3 hours. So I played a ton of The Witcher 3. I really, really love this series because I've also read all the books. So I'm very heavily invested in the lore. Again, another reason I love these games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Toss a coin to your Witcher. I love the Netflix series. I do. But I have not read the books, so I am not spoiled.
I need someone in my life I can complain to about the Netflix series besides my husband.
I mean, how much time do you have?
Oh boy. And here I am just like, but I thought they were cool. They had a really good satyr in there.
It was fun. I mean, like, I did like watching The Witcher, but I don't know. I'm not happy with some of the choices. Triss Marigold is miscast.
Okay. My interactions have been halfway through Witcher 1, and then I have played a little bit of Witcher 3.
Honestly, The Witcher 2 is pretty solid for a revisit because it's the graphics at the time were just like how The Witcher 3 is. Like, were pretty great when it came out, and it's almost identical to The Witcher 3. It's just not as polished, but it's pretty solid to go back to.
I have it. I own it. Good old games. That's their thing.
My husband got super into The Witcher 2 years ago, which is right before we moved here.
Mm-hmm.
So about 2 years ago. And so he played through like all the Witcher games. I think he played through the older ones, yeah, shortly before we moved here. And then he got deep into like all the Witcher media because he had to drive an hour and a half to work every day at that time. So he just listened to all the books on audiobook. And now we own physical copies of all the books. And we own the graphic novelization. This is actually basically it's Witcher fanfic. It's not any novelization of the books.
Mm.
That's how I felt like I think it's like the first 2 books that are in the Witcher series are just short stories kind of slapped together that reminds me of, if you've read the graphic novels Fables. Very much.
Oh yeah,
like that.
exactly. Yes. Yeah, I got Fortuan the audiobook of Sword of Destiny. Was that the one we bought him? Yeah.
Sword of Destiny. Yeah, still working
because there was a particular short story in there that I wanted him to hear.
Yep, the Gold
That
Dragon.
one's the important one, though. That one is the important one because it has like all the series stuff in it, doesn't it? The build up for it.
My husband is vehemently shaking his head. He says they're both important.
Okay.
I will say that one of my favorite episodes of The Witcher was the series on Netflix was where they did the like Red Riding Hood nod that is also in one of those short story books.
I like that too, except they sort of changed the situation he was in.
Yes.
And that really sort of changes the philosophy of what happens, and that's kind of the point of the story, and that's why I got mad.
I did like the episode though because I liked all the fight scenes. But I agree because at first it caught me off guard. I'm like, is this? I don't know. I'm questioning this, but it ended up being it. But I did like it.
But yeah, they changed the entire situation and how things are going down, and basically, like, Geralt has to either like slaughter Little Red Riding Hood in front of everyone, or let her guys like kill a bunch of children. And so he kills the Little Red Riding Hood and her guys, and everybody thinks that Geralt just like wandered into town and went nuts on these innocent people.
Yeah, because isn't this how they essentially married the background of the Butcher of Blaziken?
Yeah, Yes.
Okay, this is the book.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm understanding because this is the Butcher of Blaziken episode. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
In the book, the Little Red Riding Hood lady has like a bunch of like kids being held hostage. And he has to either decide to like just go nuts on her, surprise her, and kill her and her guys, or all her hostages are going to die.
Yeah, he did the right choice, even though it's not easy. I would.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so because of that, everyone thinks he's just this like psycho murderer.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what happens in the book.
Interesting. See, I'm not disinterested in The Witcher. My problem is I play too many games that I don't listen to a lot of books anymore. I don't drive as much as I used to. You know, working in the family business here, essentially ran from the house now. Like, I don't drive where I'm not with someone, so I don't get to listen to audiobooks anymore. So I started the Gold Dragon one though. I'm there.
Good.
That's a good one. It is a really good one.
Yeah, after you've listened to it, I want to talk to you about it sometime.
Okay.
So what else you got on your list though?
All right. So I also have been recently, the game I've been playing the most has been The Outer Worlds, which I don't know if they're coming out with another DLC or not, but their DLC has been pretty interesting. One of them's been a murder mystery, which I was not expecting because the game is very. It's like if Fallout New Vegas was in space and it was all about capitalism and anti-corporations.
Is that
so
the one?
Fallout New Vegas was in space.
Yes, I guess so. But it's so on the nose with the corporation stuff. So basically, all the factions are major corporations, and there's no allegiances to any specific country. You're either like, you either work in one of the distribution factories for the rest of your life, or you're management and you're the haves and the have-nots. It's very on the nose, just like Borderlands series is.
Yeah, I was going to say that reminds me of Borderlands because all the gun companies and whatnot, and you end up having to fight like Atlas and all of them. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is like that, but there's not as much of a variety on the guns. There's just like a set number of kind of guns for whatever kind of class that you pick, whether it's long guns or short guns. I don't really do melee in. I haven't tried it yet. I've just played through with a sniper rifle mostly.
That's fair.
Yeah. There are some weaknesses to the Outer Worlds. I had like big visions for what I thought it was going to be because everyone was kind of billing it as New Vegas in space. So, obviously New Vegas is on a very high pedestal. So Outer Worlds not quite live up to that for me, but it has been a pretty fun distraction. I think it's kind of more if the Borderlands story was a little bit more fleshed out and you had some dialogue options in there and companion choices. But it's been fun though. I'll say some honorable mentions. I played a ton of Red Dead Revolver and Red Dead Redemption, which I think are kind of like RPG, action adventure, kind of on the cusp of that. But I used to love playing Red Dead Revolver back with like playing at home with people. My boyfriend, who's my husband at the time, or husband now, boyfriend at the time, and my brother, my cousin, we'd all sit around and play multiplayer together. Red Dead Revolver was a ton of fun. Red Dead Redemption also, I think that's probably the only real Rockstar game that I've invested time in online play for.
I've invested time in a few of them, and I have always been disappointed. I was really into L.A. Noire, and I was like, why is Cole such a bastard? I hate Detective Cole. Oh, man.
I loved L.A. Noire because I love murder mystery stuff. So,
I do too, but the thing is, the main character was such an asshole. Such an asshole. I hated him.
Well, he got his just desserts.
We have a running joke with a friend of ours. We'll say, press X to doubt. And then he'll just like flip into a like frothing rage. He's like, what do you mean what do you mean they don't have pepperonis?
Yeah.
What do you mean Casey's was out of sausage pizza?
My brother and I both do the press X to doubt. We're like, X to doubt. My parents are like, why? Like, why do you? What is going on? And we're like, never mind.
My version of that is the telltale, like, I will remember that, they will remember that, everyone will remember that.
Oh.
Or everyone liked that.
Yeah.
Have either of you guys played Detroit Become Human?
No, but
I haven't, but I've heard.
I watched a playthrough.
That's good enough.
Yeah.
Just curious, especially since you mentioned being a fan of like point and click type things.
I've heard that I would love it, and I have a PlayStation 4, but I don't know. I
forgot that was exclusive. I forgot it was exclusive.
Oh yeah.
My husband's the PlayStation player in this house, and I'm the Xbox person.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I am mostly a Nintendo person, but I coincidentally also always get a PlayStation. So, but I go where my series are. I'm not really a super loyal to one company over the other.
It's going to be a cold day in hell when my series leave Nintendo.
Boy.
I feel like my brain is too invested in the amount of time I've dedicated to achievement hunting that I could never abandon my gamer tag.
Yep. My friend Devin is like that.
Never.
I am pretty sure my gamer tag was deactivated because I didn't keep it up during that purge they did a couple years ago. So I'm pretty sure I lost all those achievements.
I'd be devastated. It'd be so much time that I lost. It's why I ended up getting clean of WoW, because at the time we were playing on Alliance, getting our asses beat in PvP constantly by the Horde. So my husband's like, let's just change
Let's just
sides.
walk away.
Let's just do an alliance switch. So we paid to change to the Horde, and I lost all my progress in a bunch of stuff that I've been doing dailies on, and I'm like, I'm never playing this game again. I'm done. That's it.
It's dead to me. Yeah.
Yep, I'm walking away from this.
That's a little bit like how my husband and I got out of Magic the Gathering. We were saving up for our weddings. We're like, okay, we're not going to buy into the new Magic the Gathering set. And the thing is that your Magic cards rotate about every year or so, right?
It's faster now. Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's faster now because it's every 2 releases. So like,
Yeah.
and they've upped the releases. So we actually have a Magic show that isn't this weekly one, in case you didn't know, Sasha. But yeah, my brother and I do it, and we don't play standard anymore for this reason. Like, we don't keep up with
I
it.
think a lot of people are getting out of standard for that. But anyways, standard was the big thing in our area at the time. And about once a year, all the standard cards are basically not standard legal anymore because of how they sort of rotate cards.
Certain sets go.
Most
rolling.
cards, yes, yeah. Most cards. I'm TLDRing it for people who don't play Magic.
Yeah.
For it. Once a year, all your cards are gone, and you have to get new cards. So, but you do it slowly over time, and as long as you're still in. You don't never have to buy in the big sort of investment in.
Mm-hmm.
But we're like, okay, we're not going to buy any Magic cards until after the wedding because we got to save money. We're paying for a lot of this ourselves, so we got to save money. We're not buying any more Magic cards. So we didn't buy any Magic cards for about 7 or 8 months. And then all our decks were no longer standard legal, and then we're like, do we really want to throw like $200 into this so we can play Magic again?
See, this is why you play this wonderful format called EDH or Commander, where there is no rotation.
Oh, just you wait. So about 2 weeks ago.
This is spicy.
On a lark, we decided to buy some EDH decks that are Forgotten Realms based.
Yes, because there is a Forgotten Realms set we just did a review for.
Yeah. So I got the like Dragon Knights thing. It's a red-green dragons.
Yes.
And my husband, which color? What did you get? You got the white blue, white green.
Elves.
It's white green elves.
Mm-hmm.
And artifacts, because he plays an artificer in D&D now. So, anyways, Fortran is pulling me back in. Help! Save me!
No, you're dead. You're gone. You got an EDH deck. That is for life at this point because it never goes away, and you can always just tune it with better cards, and that's all that happens.
And because it's EDH, I have a whole bunch of old werewolves from Innistrad that I can throw in this.
Yep.
Okay. That's a tangent about getting out of bad habits, and it's slowly sucking me back in. They came in through the back door through D&D.
Now, what got me out of Magic was actually having the kids, the girls. I couldn't keep up with it also, but, being a dad, it's a little different. I had to stop going to Friday Night Magic, so I got a standard. So I said, only EDH from this point on. And I am not a collector of a lot of things, but I do collect a few things. And I now have every single Hydra released by Magic. That is what I do. I collect Hydras in Magic. I like to call myself the Hydra Relief Foundation because people normally don't like Hydras and they just give them away. So I'm like, hey.
So, what other games are you into? Off that, back on topic.
Yeah.
This is par for the course, just so you know. We go off topic a lot.
My go-to saying
totally okay.
Yeah.
My go-to saying is "Meanwhile, back at the plot."
Yeah. Meanwhile, back at the plot. Yeah.
I'll say apocalyptic games. Also, I really like the Dead Rising series.
Oh, yeah, it's not one that came up.
Yes. I love these games. These are ones that when my husband and I were teenagers, we would play together the original Dead Rising game. So it's one that I'm willing to actually share, hand the controller over, share with people. There's different reasons to play through the game. So sometimes you might because it's timed, which makes it really nerve-wracking.
Yes.
Sometimes. So we've played through together and tried to do the completionist runs, which are usually not successful, or we get pretty close, rescue a ton of people. But usually we just end up not enjoying it as much as we are just kind of free roaming and putting Frank West or Chuck in weird outfits and getting the cutscenes. And I think I played one time. I played all through Dead Rising 2 as wearing the Capcom mask, no clothes, just some underwear and some Ugg boots or something totally ugly, weird.
That's hilarious. Speaking of that, I've been doing that recently with Monster Hunter Stories too, where they have this thing where they have they have you pick a face to begin with, but they move that face in weird ways during the cutscenes. And they do this thing where you have an option where you can turn the helmet off, and I leave the helmet on the options, so they'll be talking to you and you're supposed to have this face so it's either serious or sad or whatever. So all these people talk to me and it cuts to a screen of my character just standing there with no emotions because I have a helmet on, and I'm just not responding because they don't talk, so they just do it all through facial stuff, and I'm just nope. I like to imagine he just isn't paying attention or just doesn't give a shit. And it makes it so funny to me. He's just hey, meanwhile, Fortuan's character is just staring at the ceiling. So yeah, that's funny to me, that wearing the Capcom thing, because during cutscenes as well, right?
Yeah, whatever you've got on, and then especially if you've just got done doing a boss fight.
Yeah.
So your character will have blood splatter all over them, and you're wearing the stupidest outfits. You can make him wear dresses and pigtails in his hair, all kinds of shit.
It's like that Pro ZD skit.
Mm-hmm.
He's his dad is dying, and he's like, Dennis, I want to see you one last time. And it just cuts over to Pro ZD's character, and he's wearing all this stupid a grandma hat and giant sunglasses.
There's stuff like that in I think the second one and the third one, because it's all about saving your daughter and getting the Zombrex to save your kid.
Mm-hmm.
And if you fail, you get the cutscene of your kid turning, and you're wearing that ridiculous outfit.
Oh yeah, Monster Hunter does that. You can wear the fucking Wiggler hat.
Yeah.
In cutscenes. Oh
yeah. Yeah, you can wear the Wiggler hat and it's just flopping in the wind. Just
Okay.
Oh man.
So, Sasha, if you need a little context. The Wiggler hat in Monster Hunter World, it has some very good stats. Wigglers are these, you imagine an eel, it pops out of a hole and it snaps stuff. Well, these wigglers are these worm eel things that pop up out of the ground, and they look like flowers, and they just wiggle around in the breeze like this. And there's a special event quest where if you kill a bunch of them, you can make a hat, and it turns your head into a giant wiggly eel. It just goes like this.
That bends with the wind and bends while you're running and stuff. It looks ridiculous.
It flops around. It flops around rather wigglyly.
Yeah. So that reminds me of I am not really big into Grand Theft Auto, but I have played a ton of Saints Row, which is a ton of disgusting, gross out humor in it. And there's a weapon called I can't remember what it's called. I'm sure it's something really gross, but it's basically a giant dildo.
What's the dildo gun called?
Wasn't it called the Penetrator?
It's called the Penetrator.
Yeah.
Yep, there it is. There it is. And you're just running around with it, and it's flopping around over your. So.
Yeah, that's Saints Row.
The Wiggler reminds me of that.
There.
Yeah, except it's on your head.
Yeah, if you're able to tab over to the planning channel, that's what the Wiggler hat looks like.
Interesting, like a Lapras.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, look, it makes you look like a Lapras. There you go. But that thing like flops around when you're running and stuff, and it's cutscenes. It's wonderful. It looks so stupid, but it's actually good for certain builds. It's really good for certain builds.
I would wear it with no shame, to be honest. I have no problem looking stupid in a game.
It's my ass kicking outfit, okay?
Oh man, I love see, that's the thing in games. I like the full helm look. I don't like seeing my face. I will spend a lot of time making the character look like me, and then I'm like covered up with a helmet. 100%. It's not that I don't like it. It's just like I just like the armored look. That's just what I like. So that was having just recently finished stories too. I didn't tell you about that, Pan. I have finished the end game even. And then I beat the end game, and then it was like, hey, here's more end game. It's exactly the same, but harder with no rewards. And I'm like, nah, no thanks.
I got stuff to do.
Like Skyward Sword, which I did start, yeah. So, what's your? So we're still on Western RPGs, or are we on another category?
No, I think
Okay.
I'm gonna step out of Western RPGs. But you know what? Give me like 30 seconds. I have to step away for 1 second. Okay?
Sure. I'll talk a little bit more about stories then. Pan, do you care about spoilers? Okay. Big spoiler warning to those who are listening who haven't finished stories or the end game. Okay. So, I'll give you a little bit of a second to turn away, give you like a minute or so, and then come back. But, you beat the game. This dragon thing, it's the end of the game, cool. Then they're like, okay, there's this thing called the Elder's Lair, and you go into high rank, and you have high rank monsters, which, you know, we're familiar with that in Monster Hunter. And you go and you beat them, and then you have 10 floors of these high rank monsters, and then you get to the end, and you fight Fatalis. And you're like, oh, cool.
Makes sense.
You get done, they're like, now you go to the special Elder's Lair, and it's literally everything again.
Is it a G rank layer?
Yes, but no G rank items. It's still high rank items. Yep. See, that's why. Yeah,
Boo!
that's why I was like, no, we're not doing this again. No. So I'm gonna raise up my team, which I got a Kieran finally. So I got my Kieran named Kevin, which to Sasha, for you, so you know, Kieran is a mythological creature. It's like a unicorn in Japanese lore that they have in the game, but it's basically a unicorn.
It's a unicorn.
Basically, a lightning unicorn.
You need to name him Charlie.
No, see, I thought about that, but I wanted to go Kevin because I did Kevin with a bunch of exclamation marks because I couldn't find him forever. So I thought about Home Alone. So I was like, Kevin, when I finally got him. So that's his name.
I just thought you were naming something that's very unique, a very average name, deliberately.
That's some of what I have done too. Like one of my favorite monsters that I got, because it's pseudo like Pokemon. I think I talked about this a little bit, where you don't really catch the monsters, you hatch them as eggs, and you get to name them. And I hatched an Aptonoth, which is a great, just like a normal like herbivore.
We kill them for steak.
Yeah, they're basically
They're cows.
like a cow. And I made him one of my strongest characters for a long time, and I named him Harry.
That's like making a Bidoof your main.
I mean, hi, Bug Trainer Cham here. That's what I do.
Oh.
That is my thing, Bug Trainer Cham. Like, so I made my Aptonoth named Harry, and that was fun. Actually, Harry was a reason. It's my great grandfather's name, so he was an awesome guy. So I do that occasionally, but
What are the games you want to talk about?
Right. So I've played a ton of Left 4 Dead. And Left 4 Dead 2. So these are ones that I really love as well, because I think this is probably maybe the most multiplayer I have invested my time into. I played a ton with my brother, my husband, but I really love playing as Special Infected online against people. It's like finding my inner troll.
yes. Oh yes, and I can relate 100% to you on this. So I didn't play a lot of Xbox, but I did with Left 4 Dead. I got Left 4 Dead because I was interested in it, and I found a couple of college guys. They were just talking about it, so I was like, these guys I never talked to. We were kind of like a close knit college class too. Like 20 of us all went through the same classes. And I went up and I heard they were talking about Left 4 Dead, so I joined these guys. So I was their fourth, and we just like on the online. We were actually so good as the survivors. If you remember playing that back in the day, people would quit out if they were survivors because they just wanted to play the special infected.
Mm-hmm.
We made people rage quit as the special infected. We were so fast as survivors. Because, like, one, but as a special infected, it was even worse. So when we actually got a match, like, there was a match where, as a tank, I downed the whole team in one hit. If you remember the first Mercy Hospital episode,
Yep.
and there's that alley on the apartments level, the first one. You get out of the apartments and you round that corner, and there's a car sitting at the end of that alley. I waited till they rounded the corner, and I punched the car and downed all four of them at once. I was beside myself in laughter, and like my buds and I all did that. But yeah, the what was your favorite special infected to use?
I like to in the second game. I'm very, very surprisingly very good with a spitter. And which is what I would love to fuck with people on, because I would try to go the whole match without dying that way. And just mess with people, down them. I also really like to play as a jockey and mess up the team dynamic and like pull somebody off. Like I love playing Swamp Fever and like pulling somebody into the wrong direction. And what's the one? Not Swamp Fever, Hard Rain. That one too.
Mm-hmm.
Because it make it hard for people to find you once you get pulled off in the wrong direction. The first game, Boomer probably. I don't know. I'm really more into like doing the dots and messing up their team dynamic rather than being the heavy hitter.
I think even though the tank was the best story I had, I think the choker was my favorite in the first one. The choker, because you could just like hang someone, and if they weren't paying attention to their teammates, they're just dead. You just pick the last one off in the back, and they're like, keep running, and then they're leaving the one guy for dead, and I'm left for dead, right? And I was just like, yep, I got him. There's nothing you can do.
My brother and I got so heavy into playing Left 4 Dead that we played through one time with the developer commentary on and learned that there are ways playing as the survivors that you essentially piss the game off. So there are things that you will do that will make the game more challenging for you. So things like you pick up one of those gas tanks, the game is going to send a special infected at you that will cause explosions. Or you standing in a doorway rather than taking cover, the game is going to send like things to pull you out of the doorway.
Interesting. My love for the game really dropped. They did an update that gave the melee a cooldown in the original game. Oh. And I was like, no. Because, like, the four of us playing together, we could just protect each other with melees. That wasn't the case with the melee cooldown when they added it. And then it just sort of, they kept it because they had the melee weapons in 2. So we never got into 2 because of that. But even then, I still have a lot of fond memories of that game. And I'm really, really looking forward to Back 4 Blood. I'm trying to get people to play that. So
I will definitely be playing that. My brother and I, we have like, we went through a phase where we tried to play on expert with just the two of us. So that was another thing we learned from the game commentary, was that if you had to have a computer player playing, you wanted it to be Bill, or because Bill had the best shot, best accuracy, and you wanted to play as Francis. And then like same thing in Left 4 Dead 2, you want to play as Ellis, I think is his name, and Rochelle, because they have the worst aim. So my brother and I would play, and I remember one time we were playing, and it was No Mercy, and we were playing expert for hours, dying and trying to get through it. And then we get through to the end, we're on the hospital, and he left me on the roof of the hospital. And this was probably like don't know, almost 10 years ago, and I'm still really fucking mad about it. I've never beaten No Mercy on Expert, like, with just the two of us. Never. We never were able to do it except the one time that he got out and I did not, and I still have beef.
I remember there was times where we did leave someone and the other guy's like, fuck you, why would you do one of the times I was the last guy, and because you remember how the helicopter takes off and it starts going forward, so I ran and I jumped off the building trying to get to. Obviously you can't get to the helicopter, but it actually they actually clipped it where you could see like the bunch of the zombies coming after me and stuff too. It was actually really cool. But yeah, I've been there. Maybe not on that challenging of a difficulty, but yeah, it's a bad feeling.
You know, we wanted to challenge ourselves, and I think that's actually when I stopped playing the 2-man experts. We did Untouchables that way too, but we had found a glitch in the game. There was like, it was the one where the boat comes to save you, and there's a rock right next to the dock, so you jumped up on the rocks, and then the only thing you had to watch out for was tank. And we did Untouchables that way. Okay.
I think that's Blood Harvest. I think that was
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go with. Let's go into action adventure because I've got quite a few games in here too.
Yeah.
I like the Far Cry series.
Okay.
The one I played the most, I think, is Far Cry 3, which came out around the same time as the Tomb Raider reboot series came out.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah,
which I pretty much found that the Tomb Raider reboot series was Far Cry 3, but you were just Lara Croft. It was like almost identical games.
Yeah. I never played Far Cry, but I feel like I did play the Tomb Raider remakes, and yeah, I feel that way with all the crafting and stuff that wasn't in the original games. Yeah.
Did you ever play Far Cry Blood Dragon?
I tried to a few times. I don't know why I never committed to it because it's just the same as Far Cry 3.
I was trying super hard to talk 420 into playing it last week.
Yeah. I mean, it's up my alley. Laser dinosaurs, yes, but hey, it wasn't on GOG. I think I looked. I'm not.
I have it. I got it. I have it on Xbox, but I didn't commit to it. But Far Cry 3 I really liked. And Far Cry 4, which is, again, they're all pretty much the same game. It's just the graphics get a little bit better. The world gets a little bit bigger. But, let's see. And then Borderlands. Borderlands is another one I've played a ton of. I've really enjoyed Borderlands 1 and 2 the most. That was one I played a lot of multiplayer. With Moxie's Underdome is something that makes my blood boil just thinking about Moxie's Underdome as an achievement hunter.
Oh no!
I think it's like the only thing. Yeah, I think it's like the only thing that has stopped me from completing the original Borderlands game.
Man, I did not have someone to play with on the original Borderlands game. I was just by myself. That game was a slog by myself, but I understand why people love it for the multiplayer aspect. But I got to that final boss, and when I meleeed it to death because its tentacle was grabbing that rock, I was so mad. I was so mad that I found that exploit. Oh, man. Well, like, this game's trash. I hate it. I hate it forever, and I never played again until my brother and I played Borderlands 3 together, and I love it.
I've actually not, I don't even think I've beaten Borderlands 3. I played it. Same thing with the pre-sequel. I started to play it. I hated the addition of, say, like, oxygen tanks or something extra with your shield in pre-sequel. Yes. Yeah, I didn't like that.
That's understandable.
Yeah, and I think I'm like one of the few people who really love Claptrap. I don't know why. I think
I love him too. He's awesome. He's funny.
Oh man, my brother hates him. My husband thinks he's annoying. I think he's so funny when he's carrying on, like quoting Communist Manifesto.
Yeah. I don't know. I found him really funny in the first one, and I think he was the only like NPC that I really cared for. Like, I've heard a lot of people were intrigued by like Dr. Zed sometimes. They're like, oh, he's so cool, and I was just like, I don't know, he's kind of weird. Like,
Scooter is really funny to me.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Catch a Ride guy.
Yeah, this is where cars live. Get you one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I did enjoy that.
Yeah. But no, Mad Moxie's Underdome is the most frustrating slog of a experience, and I think it's like 20 or 40 rounds. I don't know, in my head it's like 100 rounds of increasingly more challenging waves. Yeah, and I think we were two or three rounds from the end when we wiped. And we were playing. I think we've been playing for a few hours to get that far, and I was so angry. And I've never brought myself back to try it again.
It is stressful. So, my a good friend of mine, a long time ago, was big into Halo, and if Halo ODST, its big multiplayer was the Horde mode. If you remember, we stayed up way too late one night, like way too late. I had work the next day. He had work the next day, but I went over to his place like at 10 o'clock at night. I was like, we're just going to do one round of this ODST mode. We ended up placing first in the leaderboards in the world and was immediately replaced, but we did place first for like a couple seconds on that leaderboard, and we didn't even finish the wave. We were on, like, if you remember how it works, there was like 10 waves, like 10 things of 10 waves. On that one, I think that's what it was. We were like on like 8.6 or something like that is what we got to, and it was like the furthest anyone had got on that map so far, because it was like right after the game came out. And I was like, yeah, we did it. And it was like 4 a.m. I was like, I have to be up in 2 hours. Good night. Like, oh boy. But then the next day he was like, hey, we hit first. And then like as we were looking at it, we got dropped to third, and we were like, oh wait. That sucked. But yeah, that could be frustrating. I never got to do, I didn't even know that was a mode in Borderlands 1 because I didn't play with other people.
It was DLC that came out, and all the other DLC was awesome in the original games. I think that was the one that had the zombies.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mad Moxie's Underdome came out. And here I am, like this Xbox completionist, got my perfect, like, completed game. And then Moxie's Underdome comes out and adds all these new achievements. And I still don't have them.
You know, that's one thing that I liked that would attract. So I was very interested in achievements for a long time, and that's why I stuck with the 360 for as long as I did, is the achievement stuff. But again, I've been able to temper that feeling at times. But when PlayStation 3 came out with the trophy stuff, and it's like, hey, we're going to track your percentage differently based on DLC and main games. I feel like that's one area where the trophy system beats out the gamer score, because I was like, hey, I don't have to worry about the DLC unless I want to. Like, it doesn't affect my gamer score or like percentage for the overall game.
Yeah, I started looking at, so there's this website called True Achievements, mm-hmm. where they take anybody who started the game, and they take your performance in the game by the number of achievements you have, and then the rarity of the achievement is based on the number of people playing and the number of people who have unlocked the achievement. And then instead of it being like, okay, you got 100 points for beating the game on the hardest difficulty, they might say this has a certain level of rarity, so it gives it a higher score than that 100 points. So I started when I went to grad school, and I started having way less time for games. I had to compromise with myself about we're not gonna complete games. We're just not gonna have the time to do that anymore. We're not doing like find 100 tokens hidden in the open world.
Mm-hmm.
And I started moving more towards shooting for the higher TA ratio is what they're called, true achievement ratios. So your standard score would be a ratio of 1.0. So the first achievement you unlock in the game would be a 1.0. And then things start to get a little bit more rare at like 2.0 and 3.0 and 4.0. And certain games will have those really, really rare achievements that are usually like 4.0 and higher. So I started getting really excited about getting those kinds of achievements for completing the games. Yeah. So I recommend people who are interested in that kind of aspect of their game, that kind of achievement. There's also a PlayStation equivalent of it. It's called True Trophies. But I'm not really into PlayStation.
Yeah, there it is. True Trophies.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so other games. Let's see. We talked a little bit about Saints Row, but I really liked playing those games. I've played 1, 2, and 3, and then it kind of started to get very campy and almost like you were playing a game on God mode. So I didn't get into 4, or the like Goes to Hell, I think, version of it. But I thought that it's probably a hot take, but I like these games way more than Grand Theft Auto.
Sure.
They're like the way more fun version of Grand Theft Auto to me.
Yeah.
And I loved...
That's my husband's opinion, too, some of the time. Other times he's like, oh, Grand Theft Auto's awesome. But he also, I don't know. He flip-flops.
I really like the...
Grand Theft Auto is the better game. Saints Row is more fun, is what he says.
Agreed.
Okay. I like the car stuff. That's what I like. I like stealing the cars and wrecking the cars and that kind of thing. That's me.
Well, see, I do too, and that's why I liked Saints Row has like these mini games, and a lot of them have to do with the cars. So there's like different. You could do there's racing, which the driving mechanics are fine if you're not playing. I didn't really care for the first one's racing modes, but 2 and 3 were pretty fun. There's escort. There's this version where you're a pimp, and your sex workers in the back seat, and you go pick up her Johns, and you got to make sure that you don't get your car all dinged up, and you don't get pulled over by the cops while they do their business. It's like Crazy Taxi, but fun, I guess.
Crazy Taxi with an extra layer, I guess.
Yeah, I hope an extra layer, or it could be a gift that keeps on giving.
Oh boy, that almost got me. I took a drink at a wrong time on that one.
My personal favorite mini game in Saints Row is insurance fraud, where it's like you ragdoll basically and try to cause as much harm to your person's body as possible, like crashing into cars and mayhem, where you have like a bazooka and you try to cause as much property damage as possible in the short amount of time. Those are pretty fun.
Oh, so one of my favorite car games, Burnout 3, had a wreck mode where you would have one ramp, and in one ramp you would lose control of the vehicle after you hit the ramp. And you got a better score based on how much property damage you caused by wrecking the car. And you actually had like a goal to hit like gold, silver, and bronze like dollar amounts. I love that. Yeah.
Yep. Same thing in Saints Row.
Nice.
Yes. I feel like we can't talk about my favorite games without talking about The Sims. Yeah. The Sims is something that I will get really, really heavy into for about a week, and then I won't play it for months. then I'll play it again a ton for a while, and then I won't touch it again for months.
Which one do you currently play?
The Sims 4 is the one I've been playing, and I play it on. I think the only game I've been playing on PC, if I do play PC games.
For me, the Sims franchise really, really peaked at The Sims 2 because of how moddable it was. And then EA realized that they could microtransaction the shit out of it, and they basically took away all the moddability. I still played a lot of The Sims 3, a lot of it, but I think it was a much better video game back at The Sims 2. And right when The Sims 4 came out, I was like interested in it, and I think I like played it with a friend or so. I don't remember. I know I never paid for it. I forget how I played. I don't think I pirated it. I don't remember how I played it, but I played it very briefly right after it came out. And I was just like, nope, I'm tapping out. There's way too many things they've gutted from this, and I'm not buying 500 million expansion packs. I'll just go back and play The Sims 3, which I do occasionally.
I had a hard time kind of making the jump to Sims 4 for the same reason, because I had invested so much money in The Sims 3. But I ended up finally, I think I had gotten like an EA Play subscription or something, and The Sims 4 was free. And then I bought one expansion pack, and then I ended up buying a ton of expansion packs, and now I'm invested in The Sims 4.
Out of curiosity, I just looked up how many Sims 4 expansion packs are there. 9. There's 9 according to Google.
There's expansion packs, and then there's game packs, and then there's stuff.
Okay, so there's 9 expansion packs, 8 game packs, and 17 stuff packs. It can cost as much as $700 to get all the extra things. Holy cow!
Now, that's if you have no patience and you can't wait for things to be on sale.
I don't get to bitch about that, because if you look at Crusader Kings 2 for getting everything for it, I don't get to bitch about the cost of all the expansion stuff for The Sims.
I have sometimes there's a sale on GOG, and there's like, hey, there's this game and all these expansions. You could just buy the normal game at $60, or when it's on sale, you could buy everything for $80. And I have done that at least a couple times, or I'm like, ooh, but like I did that with Northgard, where it's like, hey, you can have all the new tribe packs for like $1 a piece, but there's like 17 of them.
Oh, so I just learned this. Apparently, Paradox switched to a subscription model for Crusader Kings 2 after 3 came out. Where you can subscribe to it and get all the DLC access, so that way you don't have to buy all the shit.
Wow. Crusader Kings might, if you've never played that, Sasha, that might be something up your alley. It's sounding like.
Okay. Have to look into it.
Pan has some crazy stories about this game.
Oh, yeah. But on the subject of The Sims, that was one of the big games I was going to talk about if we ever get to the modding episode.
Yes.
I haven't done a ton of modding, but I guess you could call it modding. I've just done stuff like I took out all of the annoying Sim music, and I put in music that was in my game, like my computer's library instead.
That's modding.
I got a music pack for The Sims 1 and threw it in.
That would be very nostalgic and nice.
It is.
I don't remember which Sims I played. I only played it for a little while at a friend's house. It was probably 2. He was obsessed with having we had like a group of friends, a circle of friends in middle school, and he just made us all live in a house together, and he would just find ways to kill us. And he would just show us like how he would kill us, and it was just funny to him.
Oh yeah, that's like standard stuff. No, like if I'm gonna save all these stories for the modding episode that we may never do. We'll see. Ace, are you still listening? Ace, do you do modding? One of these nights when you can join us. If you mod, come on, that's when we're doing it.
I tell you what.
Ace,
It was funny to me because he always tried to kill me, and my sim wouldn't listen, and my sim would get away, and it was like his vendetta to kill me. He eventually got me by setting me on fire at like a fireplace or something, seating me too close to it, I guess, and like an ember or something can hit the chair or whatever. I don't remember, but it took him a good 3 weeks to kill me. Like he was just like, "Why do you keep living?" I was like, "I don't know, because I don't want to die."
On the original The Sims 1, my mom found out that you could you could have the criminal, job tree.
Oh,
And she said that we were not allowed to play that game if we ever made our Sims be burglars.
uh-oh.
Yeah, we were not allowed to do that.
I don't know. Like I said, it was a total different world for me. I don't think the only thing I wasn't allowed to have was Yahoo Messenger, and I broke that rule.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a good thing that by the time I had The Sims 2, I had a laptop.
Mm-hmm.
She'd and they went in my room, and it wasn't out in the living room. She'd have been pretty upset with like some of the shenanigans I got up to in The Sims 2.
So funny story, because I have moved back home since I was a teenager. This room used to be the computer room, and the setup that I'm using right now used to be where the old computer was. So this used to be like a guest bedroom, and my girls are in my old bedroom, and so like I was sitting here. And my dad, the reason why he didn't, because it was like an everybody computer, he didn't want Messenger because he was worried about viruses and that kind of stuff. He was a security risk for him because he had work stuff on his computer. And he came in and he caught me on Messenger. It was the only time I was ever caught like doing something like really bad on the computer. And I turn around and he's like, "You piece of shit." I was like, I gotta go. Yeah,
that's classic.
My punishment was building an HTML website. Yep. And deleting audio, but yeah.
As a kid, my parents did not censor very much. My mom had like weird hills to die on. Like as a child, elementary school, I had probably already seen every Nightmare on Elm Street movie that had come out. But man, don't let me watch Spice World. So just weird stuff that my mom was sensitive about. But video games was not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Thankfully.
Okay, so Sims.
Yeah, so Sims. All right. Let's go fighting. Let's talk fighting games.
Okay. This I can talk about.
Well, I'm probably going to disappoint you because I don't play I've not gotten into modern fighting games, but I've got a lot of deep nostalgia for games that I played like PlayStation 2 and Dreamcast fighting games.
Sure.
So I was really into Killer Instinct, like Dreamcast.
Okay.
Nintendo 64 was what I played Killer Instinct on, and then Dreamcast was Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Mm-hmm.
And Power Stone. Loved Power Stone.
See, I never had a Dreamcast. Power Stone was amazing. A friend of mine had it. That was insane because there's never been like a lot of fighting games in that style.
Yes, that like weird, the camera turning around, 3D map. Oh, Power Stone was awesome. It blew our minds when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And Marvel vs. Capcom 2, man.
I played a few of those,
This was huge for my brother and I because this was one where there's such a big roster of characters, but you started the game with a basic number of them, and you had to unlock everybody, and you had to unlock their costumes and their skins and stuff. So this was a huge time sink for us.
A big completionist thing, yeah.
Yep, yep. It was probably like the start of the completionist in us.
Oh, I love fighting games where you have to unlock the characters. I think that's why Smash Brothers continues to do that to this day on new releases. Now it's all DLC, but
That's another one I have. I have not played any of the modern ones, but played so much of the 64 Smash Brothers.
mm-hmm.
So much of it. That was I identified with Pan's story about saving up her money to get a Nintendo 64,
Mm-hmm.
and but I made a better choice with the game that I got. The one game I got with
I mean,
it.
it's a pretty low bar.
That's a pretty low bar.
Yeah, and I
So
got
you say you didn't buy ET?
No, actually, mine was Snowboard Kids,
Oh, okay.
which is I think that's probably on the list of games I'd love to see remade. One of them would be Snowboard Kids.
Okay.
I loved that game. It was like imagine like a Crash Team Racing or a Mario Kart, but you're snowboarding instead.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah, loved that game. Back to fighting though, I was really into Mortal Kombat.
Mm-hmm.
Played Mortal Kombat on Sega, and then played it again. I was really into the PlayStation 2 ones,
Okay.
the ones that had like the story mode.
Yes.
Yes, I think it was like Deadly Alliance, and then Armageddon was the one where you had every character in all of the Mortal Kombat games up to that point.
The unfortunate part of Armageddon's where they really just fell flat on the fatalities though, because it was that create your own fatality thing they did, and it was just like
yeah,
it was like, oh, this is terrible. Oh, I hate this. Go back to the scripted ones, please. Like, yeah.
we did like a completionist thing on Armageddon too, because we wanted to see all the different characters and stories, so we wanted to beat the game with everybody,
Oh, jeez.
which was frustrating.
I mean, I bet some of those characters were just unwieldy. I remember Meat being very hard to play with, and Ogre and stuff like that. There were like the off-brand, like newer characters that were like, ew, this is rough.
Yeah, mocap. I did not enjoy that.
Oh yeah, mocap. That's right. I forgot about that one. Jeez.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan. I don't know if you heard this I talked about this kind of recently, so you might not have maybe heard this. I have a true, like, my uncle worked at Nintendo story, except it was my uncle worked at Midway. So we actually got Mortal Kombat 4 for free. So like he actually was an executive at Midway for a little while. So when Mortal Kombat was made by Midway, that's like how I got into Mortal Kombat. Is like he loved the games, and then he got on at Midway. So then we played with him at a couple times that we visited him and stuff, and we got Mortal Kombat 4. I think it was for free. But then he left Midway because he called them a bunch of gangsters. Turns out they got closed down for all that gangster stuff, like money embezzlement and that kind of thing. So, yeah. But I guess it wasn't the people who made Mortal Kombat were a problem. It was their parent company, Midway. So, but yeah, it was a fun story for me with Mortal Kombat. I loved the games, but I actually still play the new ones from time to time. And MK11 right now is my favorite story in a video game. Just period. I mean, you have to add in the context of 9 and 10, but
I think the most recent Mortal Kombat game that I have played is the one, I think it's like first DC Universe.
okay. Yeah, that was technically 8. That was Mortal Kombat 8, technically. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the most recent one, and I didn't love that. I did not love that game.
Not a lot of people liked it. Because the fatalities ended up not being really fatalities. They were like, they toned it down for DC because they're not allowed to kill people. So I'm kind of glad that they split them up, and Injustice became the DC fighting games, and then Mortal Kombat got to be its own thing again because that was very good. That was a very bad game.
All right. The last, I think, like game on my list here that I've spent a good amount of time in was Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Another one that I played a lot of multiplayer on, and a lot of completionist stuff in there for me. I'm also kind of a nerd about comic books, and I go through phases with comic books, but I was very geeked about Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and the second one was my favorite of the two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. That one's fun because depending on which characters you picked, you would get different dialogue that would pop up in the story, different combinations of teams. Like if you knew the lore really well, you could put team combinations together that would have team bonuses.
Yeah.
So it felt like you got like a little pat on the back for being a total nerd.
I do enjoy that. The only thing in that vein that I ever played was the X-Men Legends, the older games that were like that. And they had some of that stuff, but they didn't have a lot.
See, I didn't play X-Men Legends, but there was a DC version of it, and I can't remember what it's called, but my brother was really into it. I played it a little bit with him, and I didn't like it as much as the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, but I think it's the only time I've ever been able to play like characters like Zatanna in a game.
Okay.
Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, and I think those games might be why the only reason I know those comic book characters as well.
Watch
like
Young
that.
Justice.
I'm getting there. Okay, I've got 9 collections of forensic files to get through.
Well, so do I, but
I'll get there. I don't watch.
Yeah,
as much
so
TV.
I don't have much else on my list that's like super near and dear to my heart, other than I think like the big one would be Pokemon.
Sure. And we have not gone into the top 10 things where Pokemon hit a lot, but both of us do play Pokemon as well. Pan more so than me, I would say.
I'm like 6 or 7 Pokemon short of a living Dex.
The closest that I've gotten to something like that is in X and Y, and I think that I'm at like the only ones I'm missing would be like a few of the mythicals that I missed the special events for.
Yeah, same here. Those are the ones I'm missing.
Yep.
On this subject, Fortuan, I noticed this today because on my Switch menu, the 2 games are side by side. Magnamalo looks a lot like the Pokemon Shield Pokemon, whose name escapes me.
Says something. It's a Z.
I feel really bad. What is he called?
I don't know. You're the Pokemon expert.
I know!
I wish I could help, but I'm like stuck in a Pokemon time machine, and I'm at Sun and Moon right now. I haven't played Sword and Shield.
Don't worry.
Sun and Moon was the one where I pivoted my strategy, where I did not play Bug Trainer Cham. I played Bird Trainer Cham, and I played all bird Pokemon in that one.
Sun and Moon is the first time that I didn't pick a water starter Pokemon, because I felt like all the Pokemon, most of the wild Pokemon were going to be water.
Fair.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you seen the Pokemon randomizer stuff that people do? They are hilarious to me.
Is it where they like mesh 2 different Pokemon together?
No, there's some of that where they add in Pokemon from other generations into older ones, but they also have random starters. So you could have something like, I don't know, Sharpedo as a starter instead of a normal one. And what I watched was on Awesome Games Done Quick. They did what they called Iron Man or Iron Man Pokemon or something like that. Basically, if you fainted, you're dead. You're out. Start the run over again. And
That's called a no, wait, never mind.
not a
That's
Nuzlocke.
not a Nuzlocke, Steve. Yeah, it's not a Nuzlocke.
Nuzlocks are more forgiving than Iron Man Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because in Iron Man Pokemon, the only way you're allowed to level up is through trainers. In every route, you get to either catch a Pokemon or fight one. So there you go. Like, it's just insane. But anyways, I thought it was kind of cool. It was a cool concept. Yeah, they do look very similar.
Zamazenta, that's it.
See, I knew it was a Z. I knew.
Yeah, I had to go on Cerebi to find it because searching for Pokemon Shield Pokemon was useless.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's the... yeah, that was the one I had, because I had Pokemon Shield. Yeah.
Yeah, well, like, Pokemon Shield and Monster Hunter Rise are, like, right next to each other on my Switch menu, and I just, like, that hit me really hard today. I was like, oh, those look very similar.
They do. I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled from the same... What were they based off? Yokais? I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're both like Japanese as hell, so I'm sure they're both pulling from some folklore that I'm not aware of.
I know Magnamalo is supposed to be a tiger. That I know. That's clearly a shield dog with a shield.
Oh yeah. No, Zamazenta is a wolf. Zamazenta's sister Zacian is supposed to be Amaterasu.
It's a lot of Z's. It's a lot of Z's. All right. So Pokemon, like, did you start in the red and blue or did you start in a later generation?
I did start in red and blue on my little yellow Pokemon Color or Game Boy Color. And I played, I had blue and then played yellow. I think when Gold and Silver came out, I played Silver. And I will still say I think Gold and Silver are the best out of all the games. My favorite.
Yeah. The guy who left the podcast, he was very, very much into the Gold and Silver. That was his favorite series or generation of the series. I consider myself more of a Gen 1er. That's more where I was in it. But I did play Gold and Silver. I had Gold. So I had Red, and then I didn't have Yellow. My brother got Yellow. And I was like, why? It's just the same game, except you get Pikachu. And I don't like Pikachu. This is little kid me thinking, okay? This isn't now. I know they're different now. And then there was a lot of improvements, I know. But... and then I played Gold, and then I fell off hard, but I still always played them. But I only ever played them to like beat the Elite Four, and I was done. Like I never did catch them all or anything. And a lot of times I got them like a year or two after launch too. Like I didn't get them right away. Like the only one I remember getting a little into is the one that had Electrike. Is that 3rd gen or 4th gen?
Third.
So I got a little more into 3rd gen than the other ones, and I was in high school. But like I said, I've said many times on the podcast, I was obsessed with Pokemon, and Monster Hunter straight up replaced it for the monster design. So I was just like, well, it's now inferior to me. So because what I've always cared about is monsters. So, and then Pokemon were all cutesy and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I love stuff like Chandelure. Chandelure is hilarious to me. And if you've ever played Pokken, Chandelure is a terrible Pokemon to fight. Freaking.
Oh, Chandelure is, or it was semi-competitive last time I was checking in. It has super high special attack.
Oh, it shows up in Pokemon. It'll just stand in the back and shoot fire beams at you, and you got to dodge them and stuff. And you're like, no. That's.
Did you ever play competitive, Sasha? Like at all?
No, not going to any Pokemon tournaments or anything. I would play online, and once like X and Y came around, I started playing, like connected my system online. But no, I didn't really get into it live in person, other than with my brother or like a few friends.
Yeah.
So, I basically did, like, I did competitive, like, online with randos, like, all the time. I only once or twice went to play IRL, and I was so soured on my experience with it that I just never again.
That's unfortunate.
The guy I was playing against, I don't know how he hacked it in, but he did. He had a Gligar with Wonder Guard, which is not possible.
See, this is how much I don't know about Pokemon.
Okay,
I don't know what Gligar is, and I don't know what Wonder Guard is.
Okay, I don't want to mix this up.
Okay.
Okay, Wonder Guard is an ability where the Pokemon that has it can only be hurt by attacks that are super effective against it.
Oh, that's what Shedinja has.
Yes, it's what Shedinja has.
Yeah, because that's what ended that run that I was talking about.
You have to have the type advantage.
Yeah. So he had a Gligar, which is flying ground, if I'm not mistaken. So it could only be hurt by things that are super effective against that. Which means is ice. Ice and water.
Mm-hmm.
Does he look like a...
Because electric would have no effect.
Wow.
And leaf would not be super effective either. Grass would not be super effective. So he could only be so he could only be hurt by like ice and water type attacks.
And so I found this out like crab bat looking thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a flying scorpion.
That's the idea. The words that you said are terrifying. Flying.
He's a flying scorpion. That's what he is. Okay, so anyway, and I tried to bring this to attention of the judge, and the judge had like no idea what I was talking about. And the other guy, teenagers, he got like he did the super like BS teenager thing of like, oh, she's just mad she lost and stuff like that. So I was just so soured on that. I never played in person with anything again.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But I did play online with a competitive team that I had like trained and raised. And my favorite thing to do was to take my Vaporeon and just ruin Japanese little kids' days.
That's what I would do with Sylveon.
Yeah, I had this unbreakable combo. I had a Vaporeon. His abilities were Toxic, Protect, Wish, and Scald.
Oh. Fun.
So you put Toxic on them. They get I do Toxic. They get an attack off. It hits Vaporeon in the face. Whatever. Vaporeon has the highest health pool in the game. He can take it. Next move. Vaporeon does Protect. Whatever. Next attack doesn't hit, and Toxic has another round to go off. Next move. I do Wish. By this point, the person is either switching out their Toxic Pokemon, or they're trying to attack again because they know I can't Protect. Either way, it's okay. Vaporeon can absorb the damage. Then Wish goes into effect. They heal up. At this point, the person gives up, switches out to a different Pokemon, and I do Toxic. Wash, rinse, repeat until their entire fucking team has Toxic and my Vaporeon is still alive. And then if they pull something that can't be poisoned, then I do Scald, which can cause burn instead of poison.
So then, have you encountered somebody who's got a beefed up Tentacruel? Because I think that wouldn't work great on them.
You're right, that wouldn't. Tentacruel would be the weak link in the chain here.
Tentacruel's my choice for poison Pokemon.
Yeah, so Tentacruel would be the weak link in the chain, but Vaporeon is one member of the 6-man team.
Yes.
And I've definitely got people waiting in the wings to like back him up on, because there's a few that I couldn't take with this combo. Gengar, he's poison type, so I can't Toxic him, and his health pool and defense pool are pretty beefy, so can't get him. Chansey was usually problematic because Chansey can take care of its own
Chansey's
poison.
A paladin.
Yeah, Chansey is a paladin, and she can always like heal herself pretty well. Other Vaporeons, because I was not the only person running this fucking combo. So there were a few where I couldn't deal with it, but the bulk of people playing random battles online are what I assume to be Japanese children, because their names are all in like, kanji letters, and they're all using like legendaries.
that's why I haven't gotten super into playing online. I spend all this time like I'll like breed, try to get the best nature combos. I'll breed to get certain move sets, and I'll have this Pokemon that I think is so great, and then I go on and it's just all legendary Pokemon. Like, cool, fun. Thank you for this experience.
See, that's why I love doing it with just my Vaporeon. I always named him Davy Jones.
I like that name. I am trying to find what my team was in Sword and Shield, so I have something. It's not good. Anything that was ice or rock, I'm dead. It doesn't have to be a good Pokemon. It could be like a Geodude, and I'm gone.
A fucking snom.
Like,
I've never given Vaporeon a shot because I always pick the water starter.
That's fair. Yeah, Vaporeon is usually my go-to water guy because I'm generally going with the fire starter.
Okay.
Except Tepig. I hate the way that stupid pig looks when it grows up. Also, that was like our 5th firefighting combo in a row, and I was just done with them at that point.
I hate the firefighting combo. I hate it.
I liked it when it was Blaziken. I always name him General So, because he's a spicy chicken.
Oh, I have found some of the...
I always name my Charmander Neltharion.
So like I said, I am a bug trainer at heart. So I just have nothing but bug Pokemon. Where is it? Oh, I can't find it. There's no way. I know that I had the rock crab one that was a bug type.
Can't remember his name. He's stupid.
Hey, he had sturdy. So he would come out there and he would throw out rock spikes and he would survive.
Crustle. Dwebble and Crustle.
Yeah, so Crustle was one of them. Of course, the new Fire Centipede. That one was freaking amazing. Because I had a fire, a water, a grass, and a dark move. Like, that was some coverage. And that was my anchor. That was like my... like...
So in Sun and Moon, I picked the Litten.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got... I actually think I only have one fire move. He's a ghost move, a grass move, a dark move, and a fire move, I think.
I really like Litten too. I'm amused that he grows up to be like a pro wrestler and he's not firefighting.
Right?
I'm very amused at that.
Wait. He's fire dark, right?
Yeah. He grows up to be a pro wrestler, but he is not firefighting type. I love it.
He's the what do you call him? The villain in wrestling.
He's a heel. Sure. That's what you call that. Devin's a huge wrestling nerd.
Okay, so I had the evolution of Dewpider, the water spider. Aquanid. Yeah. Sizzlepede's evolution, Dwebble.
Centiskorch.
Okay, so whatever's it, because I only have I'm looking back through my Twitter history because I posted the original ones because I got the perfect IVs. If you remember, I did the perfect IV EVs. So I got the perfect IV of Grubbin, which is the lightning one, the lightning stag beetle one. Then the new one that was the ladybug that was super tanky. It was a psychic type. And then Snom, which became Frostmoth. Frostmoth was hell of a good special attacker. Way glass cannon. Super glass cannon. 4 times weakness to both fire and rock.
There's a lot of glass cannons in Sword Shield.
And
Same thing as Sun Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of them kind of favor that.
I feel like what happened is in X when they added or whenever Fairy became a thing, Fairy was so overpowered Fairy was overpowered and Dragon was overpowered in XY. Then they started making all these Pokemon with the dual types, and then they became glass cannons with the dual types.
Oh, I have their names. I found them. So the Crustle was Balboa. Because Rocky. Burninator for the that one. Dowser was the whatever the
Aquanid.
fighter. Yeah. Chills was Frosmoth. Venture was the lightning beetle thing, and Bugamancer. I was so happy about that. Yeah, yeah.
So, if we are wrapped up about talking about video games, and if we're not, then let's keep going. But if we are wrapped up talking about video games, I got that other thing I told you guys briefly about earlier.
I say share the thing because I don't have anything else on my list that makes my heart, skip a beat.
All right. Okay, so my husband the last several months has been deep diving into like comic books, especially the last few months because he's a teacher and he has been had a lot of free time on his hands, and he hurt his wrist and can't play video games.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's been going on for like a month and a half. I guess you didn't know about that.
Yeah, I didn't. Huh.
Yeah, he can't play video games.
I'm sorry, Steve. Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
So he's been reading a lot of comic books.
Yeah.
And through that, we found out about this comic book. I've got it here. Well, we've got the omnibus because that's way better than having all the trades. Mm-hmm. But we have this. He found out about it tangentially through another comic book, but I'll let you absorb it.
Murder Falcon?
Murder Falcon. And look at that cover.
Okay, so that's some metal. That's some metal stuff. Okay.
Yeah. It's all tying together.
Uh-huh.
So, my husband and I are both pretty big fans of heavy metal. More on the classical heavy metal than like everybody thinks. Oh, so like Pantera and Korn and Slipknot. No. It's much more like Judas Priest, Megadeth, Iron Maiden, sort of like British new wave heavy metal. If you really need the hard definition. And I also listen to a lot of power metal. But anyways, so he and I both like metal quite a lot. We used to go to a lot of concerts before the COVID and before we had a kid.
Yeah.
We're still trying to get out to concerts now that the world is waking back up.
Blinky wanted to visit.
Yeah. So this comic, Murder Falcon, my husband read it last week and he just like texted me at work and he's like, Chelsea, you have to read this comic, and he's like sending me pictures of it and like, this is some metal shit. The premise of the comic is Jake, the blonde guy on the cover, is a washed up musician and he has to fight off Cthulhu's with the power of metal.
I'm sold.
Okay.
I'm sold on Cthulhu.
That is the premise. That's the premise. Now, and you're probably like thinking, okay, so I'm going to buckle up and get ready to roll on this. What's basically kind of like Brutal Legend.
Okay.
If you ever played that, it's basically like a comic book that's like Brutal Legend. That's what it's like on the surface. But what this is really about, and I'm trying not to spoil it on anyone because this comic had me ugly crying on the couch.
Uh-oh.
Hang on, I'm trying to find an awesome picture in here.
So, it's not like... Oh. Oh, no.
That is a mastodon he summoned with the power of base, attacking a Cthulhu.
Yeah?
This comic had me ugly crying on the couch today.
Oh, man.
I got to the end of it, and I was just crying. My son, saw me crying on the couch. He said, Mommy, what's wrong? I'm like, the book made me sad, soul. He says, oh, no, are you okay? And he started hugging me. this book is really about surviving trauma and loss and picking your life back up from the pieces.
Oh,
and it
no.
is beautiful. It is beautiful.
No.
My husband read it last week. I didn't need that.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for this. No, my husband read it last week. He's just sending me screenshots of or pictures of different pages out of context.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I remember the one I wanted to find.
Oh jeez, I don't know if I can handle that. That is a little much.
Here it is. Here it is.
Oh no, he looks like a kiss.
He says, I am the sole survivor of the band Whisperwood, and I want to join your band.
Oh no.
And he's got this giant tree monster that he summoned with the power of his voice to punch out Cthulhu's with them. And yeah, so he sends me out of context shit, and I'm like, cool, this sounds like fun. And he just handed it to me. We had some time earlier while Soul was napping. And I start reading it, and an hour and a half later when I'm done with it, I'm just crying. It's so wonderful. And I have to tell people about it. This comic is amazing. Murder Falcon. Remember it, go buy it. Yeah, I got done with it, and after I was put myself back together, composed myself, I was he's like, so can I go buy the alt variant covers of all the trades, please? I'm like, yes, you can.
Yes.
We need to build a Murder Falcon shrine in our basement now. Thank you. Yes.
You have sold it. Yes. Nice. So
yeah, so he's buying a bunch of the variant covers so we can make something to decorate our basement with.
So Pan, I must once again request that you watch Primal, because Primal front loads all of that. Front loads it, and then you get to have awesomeness.
I know. I'll watch Primal. I will.
So
it won't be tomorrow.
SashaQ, so Primal is Gendy Tartakovsky's latest project. That is, so he's the Samurai Jack guy, like we talked to earlier, that I'm a big fan of. He made a new series that is a caveman who pairs up with a T-Rex to survive in the prehistoric times. And episode 1, which I don't really think is a spoiler, it's a big premise. Both the caveman and the T-Rex lose their families to a bigger T-Rex. And in that grief, they bond and become friends. So
sounds like some Land Before Time stuff.
If Land Before Time had insane, gruesome violence, then yes.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Well, the Land Before Time did insane, gruesome violence on my heart as a child.
You're preaching to the choir here.
Fair. It is my favorite children's movie. I showed my girls it when they were younger, and they're like, "Daddy, why are you crying?" And I'm like, "Don't you understand? His mom is dead." Don't you understand?
That movie is how my sister taught her daughters about death when it was getting close to time to put their dog down.
Yeah, it's
a week before the appointment, she watched it. She made them sit down and watch it so they could talk about death and learn about it.
Yeah, they learned pretty early because like you said, you had Soul come up and hug you, why are you crying? I think I might have told you this before, Pam, but when my grandfather passed away, I was sitting there and I was really sad about it. And Cece could tell. Cece was 2 or 3. And Emery was alive, so she had to be at least over 2. And she's sitting in her high chair eating I don't know, some kind of snack or something. And she'd been watching a lot of Daniel Tiger. And I was sitting there sad, and she's like, "Daddy, it's okay to be sad sometimes. You'll get better." And I was I just broke down. I was like, "Kid, you don't know what you're saying."
You don't know.
Oh man. Yeah. My kids are no longer toddlers, but I do remember those days very fondly. And they weren't long ago. They were not long because Emery
Yeah,
is just
it's
now
not
4.
that long ago.
Emery's 4, and I wouldn't consider her a toddler. Although, boy, she was telling me some crazy stuff today. We were at a restaurant, and she was saying, "Daddy, is that a steak knife?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Cut your neck." I was like, "What? What?" She got in trouble for that. I was
Oh.
like, "No, you do not tell people to cut themselves. That is way bad, kid." She thought it was funny. Like, I was like, "Why do you think that's funny, you crazy psycho?"
So, yeah, I'll end with this. We've recently found out that my son's a little bit of a sociopath.
Oh boy.
So you know how he's got his Toy Story toys, you know. So he's been potty training, and he's earned himself, you know, almost the full cast of Toy Story at this point.
Yeah.
And he has a Jessie doll, and so it becomes room time, and we're like, okay, so it's room time, so you got to go pick your 2 toys and go in your room and go play in your room for an hour, so mommy and daddy can watch TV or cook or do something. And so it is room time, and he goes to pick his 2 toys, and he says, "Where's Jessie? Where's Jessie? I want Jessie." We look all over the place, and he says, "Oh, I know where Jessie is," and he goes and gets this tiny little box that he stuffed Jessie in. Here's the thing, Fortuan, because you haven't watched Toy Story as much as I have. Jessie is claustrophobic.
Oh no.
Yeah. She is like constantly having anxiety and panic attacks about being put in boxes.
That's right. Yeah, that was in number 2 a lot, right?
Yeah, it's in all of the ones where like it features in everything Jessie's in mostly, where there's something where she's anxious about being like closed up. And he says, "I just put Jessie in the box because that scared her."
Oh,
and
boy.
so his 2 toys he picked for room time were Jessie in this tiny little box that he had stuffed her in.
Okay. Yeah. See, like we've been like Soul and Emery are alike minds. They are, boy.
Yeah,
See,
we're just like, that's troubling.
Yeah. So a little bit of backstory for Sasha. My older one, I like to call my princess. She's like a prim and proper girl, and Emery is a barbarian. And Emery, she'll flip tables. She'll like she was talking to me something like she was trying to like understand with like heaven and hell and that kind of stuff. She's been talking about that. So it's like, so when you kill the monsters, they go to hell, right? And I was like, what? Where did this come from? I was like, I don't know. They're just monsters. It's just a game. We're not thinking about where they go afterwards. It's just a game. Like, don't get into that. But oh man. Because, well, she said heck, and I was like, I mean, you can say hell. It's a place. I don't care, right? Because her mom won't let her say hell. I was like, I don't care. So you can do that. And then she goes, so they go to hell, right? Like, she just, like, over pronounces it. Because she's just, like, full in. Boy, she's a spitfire. And they love Switch. I tell you what. I own 4 Switches now because of them. So... it's a lot. So, I think we're good. You've hit about most of the games you wanted to talk about. So we'll wrap up here. It's been a little while, a little over 2 hours. Not our longest episode. Last week was like, did we hit 3 hours last week? It was long. Ooh.
Yeah.
So next week, I don't know exactly what we're gonna do. We might, and we've talked about this as a group yesterday, might tackle the Blizzard issue and talk a little bit about that. That's still ongoing. There's still more stuff coming out about that. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up. But there's now a walkout, I guess. I didn't know that until today. Like a bunch of...
I will need to see what else is going on. Mostly all I've seen are like people posting, "Oh my God, did you hear?" So I heard something about like Bill Cosby room. Haven't looked into the details on that.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
It sounds... the implications of calling it a Bill Cosby room are just troubling.
Yep.
Ooh. Okay. So
That sounds like a joke that the shitty fraternity would make.
Well, it sounds like Activision is a shitty fraternity.
yeah, it does. Yeah, Activision, at least Blizzard, and I think this is the Blizzard portion specifically, not even the Activision part. It's sounding like it.
I'd be very curious to hear what some of the recent sort of publicly ex-employees have to say, or rather, the ones who tapped out years ago, like Ben Brode.
I don't know, man. There's a lot coming out. There's so maybe it's something we can tackle. Yeah, give it some time, I guess. It might calm down by then as to all the new stuff coming in. But it gets us a little chance to talk about Blizzard games and stuff. And actually, I don't want to talk about it now, but I heard a very good point from someone that I follow on YouTube about the usefulness of boycotting in this situation and stuff too. It was a very interesting take, I think. So I don't know. I think we could do that. We all good to do that next week?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Aside if nothing else blows up too. So, but thank you guys for tuning in. We're gonna call it a night and have a great evening. And if you're listening on audio, have a great whatever time of day it is. So,
have a great drive to work.
Yeah, for the most part, or you're at work and ignoring people too. Funny story to that. I'm gonna add real quick before we go. It's about listening at work. I got Raycons. They're so cool. I've yet to find a situation to use them.
This is not one of those stupid ads.
I know, but they actually are cool.
If it is one of those stupid ads, I didn't get any money for it. Where's my money, Fortuan?
I don't have any to give you. Alrighty. Good night, folks. Later.
Bye.
Bye.
I have lost the thing. There we go. Now we're going to